Hello STISD parents, we welcome you to another segment of STISD Connections. My name is Anisha Agarwala and I attend South Texas Preparatory Academy. Today you will meet Mrs. Vivian Galloso, school nurse at STPA, who is excited to share information with parents about frequently asked questions relating to student health issues and concerns. Hello, Ms. Galloso.
Hello.
Thank you for being with us today. As a school nurse, we realize that you have quite a task to try to keep all the students safe at school. And we thank you for doing this for us. In order to help parents understand our school's processes when it comes to student health while at school, we have a series of questions for you. So let's begin.
Okay.
Why is it important that the school nurse be aware of students' health conditions?
Well, that's a good question. Sometimes students have medical conditions that's going to affect how they are in school. Mainly it's for student safety. If a student has a medical condition that might impact, for example, their PE class, there might be some things they can and can't do, so we would need to know the medical condition so that we can ensure they were safe in their schooling. The other issues that we look at when it comes to that, maybe it's asthma. Maybe they're able to participate in PE with no problem, but sometimes they might need an inhaler, some medicine, before they actually do some exercises. So that's another one that we would need to know about as well.
Thank you. Why must a student provide immunization records to the nurse?
Immunizations are tricky. Those are needed because the state requires each student to be immunized against certain diseases. A lot of those diseases are actually catchy. Do you know what catchy is? Catchy means that it can be caught by another student if a certain student has that disease. So the immunizations help to fight the disease and fight them to be caught by student. So those immunizations need to be submitted to the school as they start their classes.
I'm sure this is for everybody's safety.
It is.
May a student be exempt from taking immunizations?
They can. Sometimes parents don't want their students to be immunized. Sometimes it's a later decision. Maybe it's not from birth, but maybe something has happened in their life or they've decided that they no longer want those medicines put into their student, and they can have something called a conscientious exemption. And how they do that, there's actual process. They have to go online and they request from Austin a piece of paper. And there's an application online. They fill it in and that paper is mailed to their home. Once they receive it, they fill it out as the parent and they say, I don't want them to have this one and this one's okay, but this one's not. And they just go through the form. Once they filled it in, it gets notarized and they submit it to the school. It's good for 2 years. And that form in its original state, the actual form, stays with the school's files for the student. And if the student changes schools, that file goes with the student so that the parent doesn't have to do that again within that 2 years.
Okay. If a student is ill, may he or she attend school?
No. We ask that if students are sick, that they stay home. Number one is for their safety. But number two, we want them to get better so that they're their best in school. If they're sick, they're not really concentrating on school. They're concentrating on their headache or their sore stomach, and we want them to make sure that they can concentrate well. So we require that students not be ill when they come to school.
If a student has a fever, then may he or she come to school?
And that's one of those illness things. No, if they have a fever, they are asked to stay home. In fact, we do have a school guideline that students who come to school need to be fever-free for 24 hours before returning to school. So if we do have a student that comes in and they let us know, well, I had a fever last night, but I'm feeling much better, then we do call and we talk to the parent and we let them know this is the guideline that we have in order for students to remain safe in a disease-free environment, and we ask the student to be picked up.
That's very informative. If a student becomes ill or injured while at school, what may the nurse do?
Well, if they become ill, it depends on how bad they are. Sometimes we just don't feel 100%. And unfortunately, I can't send a student home just for not feeling well. But I look at them, I take their temperature, I see how they're feeling, if there's pain involved, and we sometimes even call parents just to get them involved and have them make a decision whether or not they would like their student to just try to stick it out, or if it's something that they need to be sent home for, we ask the parent to come and pick them up because they are too ill to stay in school. Sometimes if students are injured, that's a little different. Injuries can be oh, well, they've fallen and they've got a scrape to their knee or to their elbow, that we could take care of in the clinic by washing and just putting a Band-Aid on it, making sure that they're okay with an ice pack. We can call parent again and let them know this has happened, and then together we decide whether the student needs to stay home or stay in school. But if it becomes more severe, then we would need to call the parent and have them come and pick up the student and maybe even take them to the doctor. It might require an actual doctor's visit, or even it might require us to call 911. It just depends on the severity of that injury.
What if a parent is called to pick up a student from school due to illness or injury, but the parent is unable to come to school?
Yeah, that's a hard one. When a student needs to go home, they need to go home. So parents would need to arrange something so that whether they can't, maybe a family member or a neighbor or a close friend can come and pick up that student. We would try to make sure that that is in place before the student is sick or in needing of that pickup, but we just call the parent, just explain to them.
May a student use a wheelchair or crutches at school if needed?
Sometimes that is required, and we do allow students to use that because the doctor has asked them to do that. We do ask that the parent get that, that written down for the nurse so that we have instructions on why it's being used, how long it's going to be used. And I'm sure that when those things are being used, the wheelchair or the crutches, or even sometimes a sling, it's for a reason, and there's probably going to be restrictions for that student as well, so we would need that in writing as well.
That's nice to know. May a parent leave medicine at school just in case it is needed?
We discourage parents from leaving medications at school just in case it's needed. We do have over 600 students, and that would be quite a big cabinet of medicines. If a student does need medication at school, and sometimes that happens, we ask the parent to fill out an authorization form allowing me to administer the medicine, and we ask that that just be for short term. If there's something that's needed for longer term, we would need a doctor's involvement with that.
May a student carry medicine throughout the school day or on the bus in case it's needed?
Again, this in case it's needed, that's those words that I'm listening to. Generally, students are not allowed to carry medications in school or on the bus. There are some exceptions. There's always exceptions. We do have asthmatic students that sometimes need to carry an inhaler, and those are for emergency situations, so they do need to carry that medicine. And even sometimes students have allergies that require an EpiPen, which is a special medicine, in case they run into trouble with some allergy that they have. Those are two specific examples of where a student might carry medicine, but all others, there's not really a need for that.
What if the student is diabetic?
Well, that's a special case. We have students that have diabetes that need certain medicines on an hourly basis even, and those medicines are generally kept in the clinic. They also have supplies and they have snacks in case they're needed, because they're quite a complex disease process that those students are struggling with. Oftentimes, extra snacks are kept with teachers. The students themselves will be carrying extra snacks, and then extra supplies and extra snacks are also kept in the nurse's clinic, just so that they have a safe environment, and that if there's anything that happens with a low blood sugar or a high blood sugar, we're able to help them get through their day.
That's nice. May a student take medicine prescribed by a doctor in Mexico?
They can take it at home. But no, we can't, as nurses with the state of Texas, we can't administer medicines that are from Mexico. We need to give medicines that are from the United States, that are in their original containers, so no baggies and no envelopes and no, can I take this one pill? No, they need to be in their original containers. They can't be expired, and I know sometimes we forget to look at those expiration dates on the medicine boxes, but they're there, and we look at them to make sure that everything is safe for the student to take. Sometimes students do need to take medicines at school, but if it's a daily medicine that's just given once a day, that needs to be taken at home. Same with twice a day, and even sometimes 3 times a day can all be given at home. Sometimes the school needs to be involved, but just talk to your nurse and they'll be able to help you with that.
Is this including vitamins and supplements?
Well, vitamins and supplements are a little bit different. Those are things that need to be taken at home. Generally, those are not given at school. If there would be some different medicine or supplement that would need to be given at school, we would need the doctor's involvement with writing an order that would specifically say that that needs to be given at this particular time during the school day, and that would need to be written on the pharmacy label as well.
What type of screenings are done by the school nurse?
Well, we do quite a few screenings. We do vision screening, so we're testing how students can see. We also take a look at their hearing. We have a little machine that we put on the student so that we can see what they can hear. We do heights and weights. We also look at their spines to make sure they're generally straight. And there's one other thing we do, which is called acanthosis. It's a thickening of the skin. And we look at the back of the neck of the student. And sometimes that could indicate that there's an endocrine issue going on with the student. And if that's the case, then we would get the parent involved with a letter sent home asking that they would be seen by a doctor.
That's very useful to know. Thank you, Ms. Galloso, for answering all of our questions and offering such great tips.
Well, you're very welcome.
This concludes our segment, Ask the Nurse. We hope you found this information helpful. Please feel free to contact our district website, www.stisd.net, and each of our high school websites for more information on the specialized curriculums and academic programs offered. Thank you.